Mr. Tarren Bragdon also is a repeat witness because he's an expert on this subject. Plus, he's got firsthand experience in terms of Maine, how they actually handled pre-existing conditions using the high-risk pools, probably better than anybody in the country. And I certainly wanted to bring him back there to describe how Obamacare does not cover pre-existing conditions perfectly, not at all. So we'll discuss that later. But Mr. Tarren Bragdon is the President and Chief Executive Officer at the Foundation for Government Accountability, which he founded in 2011 to advance free market principles. He previously served in the Maine House of Representatives from 1996 to 2000. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from the University of Maine and Master of Science in Business from Husson University. Probably got that wrong last time. Mr. Bragdon.
Chairman Johnson, Ranking Member Blumenthal, and members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity. 15 years after it was signed into law, Obamacare has not delivered the promise of affordable care that Americans were sold. Instead, what it's produced is skyrocketing premiums, exploding fraud and massive waste, and a system that routinely puts able-bodied adults ahead of the truly needy and leaves many with pre-existing conditions worse off than they were before. The centerpiece of this failure is Medicaid expansion. Medicaid was originally designed for poor children, the elderly, pregnant women, and the disabled. But Medicaid was radically transformed in 2014 under the ACA into an entitlement for working-age, able-bodied adults, most of whom have no dependent children and most of whom are men. Today, 34 million able-bodied adults are enrolled in Medicaid more than any other group, and federal taxpayers spend more on able-bodied adults than they do on the elderly, the disabled, or children. In the first decade of Medicaid expansion, it cost more than $1 trillion, double the original estimate, while, as you heard, 700,000 Americans with intellectual, developmental, or physical disabilities have languished on waiting lists for basic home and community-based services. In addition, fraud has reached staggering levels. We've all read recently the headlines that reveal billions stolen from Medicaid in Minnesota, and some of that money funneled to terrorist groups. A $233 million Obamacare broker scam, and a GAO sting operation in which every single fake identity that the auditors created was approved for fully subsidized coverage, and 90% were still receiving those benefits a year later, often without any verification of identity, income, or citizenship. GAO also found $21 billion in unreconciled subsidies, tens of thousands of deceased or duplicate Social Security numbers. Health and Human Services confirmed 60% of subsidy recipients misreported their income. 1 out of 5 of every Medicaid dollars is wasted, the vast majority due to eligibility errors supercharged by expansion. The financing is deliberately perverse. The federal government matches $9 for every $1 that a state spends on able-bodied expansion adults, but only about $1.30 for every dollar that state spends on the truly needy. And when states need to cut in times of tough budgets, expansion rolls stay bloated, while children, the elderly, and the disabled are first on the cut list because that's where states can save the most. Obamacare's promise to protect people with pre-existing conditions has also collapsed. Individual market premiums have more than tripled. The average 40-year-old now pays over $7,700 a year before subsidies. Deductibles are more than $6,000, and out-of-pocket maximums exceed $9,000. Those with pre-existing conditions need the best providers. Yet Obamacare insurers use narrow networks, often run by Medicaid managed care companies that exclude most top physicians and nearly all National Cancer Institute-designed cancer centers. Drug formularies and cost sharing are deliberately structured to discourage enrollment of high-cost patients. And the rigid January 1 open enrollment window in the Biden administration's curtailing of short-term plans have stripped away affordable bridges to coverage. State innovation have shown that outside of Obamacare's one-size-fits-none model, there's a better way. In 2011, Maine enacted targeted reinsurance for 8 high-cost pre-existing conditions and modest rating flexibility changes. Premiums with the largest insurer fell 70%, 70, in the first year, and enrollment climbed 13%. and that market remained stable even as Obamacare premiums exploded nationwide over the next few years, all the while preserving guaranteed issue and the identical lower premiums and the exact same benefits for people with or without pre-existing conditions. In short, Obamacare is too expensive and very broken. Real reforms have shown that targeted help needs to be focused on the truly needy. We need to provide more healthcare options, not fewer, and full provider access for everyone while eliminating fraud and abuse. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bragdon.